Okay, everybody. This video is going to be broken down into two parts to try to keep it focused. The first part is going to be how to develop your Google quiz, and the second part is actually going to break down the different abilities that you'll have within the quiz. I actually built a sample quiz right here, and you will see that. I also have my agenda and some slides, and that will be posted down in the description of this video. So if you go into the description, there's a link, and that link will generate a copy of my agenda, how I'm talking today. And it will also give you a slides presentation you could print in like a PDF form. And that's going to basically be a step-by-step process. The second video is going to break down this quiz and all the little different intricacies that you could have to show how powerful Google quizzes can be for assessment. But starting off first is we're going to start in the classroom. And why we start in the classroom is because it's the best way to make a link to make sure that you do your assessment appropriately. You can actually go to forms.google.com and you could find and build forms there. But my recommendation for you is that so that you don't make any mistakes, you go here to your classroom, you go into your classwork tab, you go to your create tab, and you create a quiz assignment. Google specifically made something called a quiz assignment because right here, it's going to auto-generate a quiz for you. So over the years, they noticed teachers were creating forms and using different programs to actually have those forms act like quizzes. Now, Google has in their settings of a form to make a quiz automatically. But for you to make it as easy as possible, go right into the classroom and make a quiz assignment. It's going to generate that blank quiz. Just remember, as I go all the way over here to the upper right, if you're not done, just save the draft. And remember, this quiz that we're going to work on is going to eventually just be stored in your drive anyways. So just go to Classroom, make a quiz assignment, and then it's going to be ready for you at all times. At the end of the day, you know what the assignment, you put a title, put your instructions, assign it to whomever you want to with a date, and you're good to go. But I'm going to go right into the blank quiz and get started with my first point. I'm not concerned about naming my quiz just yet. You could do that later. The most important thing that you can do is go right over here to the right-hand side to the gear. Go to the settings tab because the settings tab is going to set up the most important parts of your quiz. Seeing teachers that have been successful or have had difficulties, it's because they haven't really told the form, the quiz, what to do in the best way. So when we go to the settings tab, we have our three areas: general, presentation, and quizzes. When it comes to general, we want to restrict our users to just the school district. Okay, that's plain and simple. You don't want to go in any outside groups. Okay, option here, limit to one response. If I check that, that means it's a one-shot deal. You do it and it's done. And notice it says respondents will be required to sign into Google. I'm going to leave that checked, and you're going to actually see it's going to say there's going to be a little warning here that this is going to be checking your email. Some teachers have left this blank. Why? Is because when it comes to an assessment, let the kid take it over and over and over again and practice. See what they got right and see what they got wrong. If they did this on a Monday and they did poorly on it as a pre-assessment, well, by the time they finish their learning on Friday, then they take it the second time or the third time or the fourth time. But the last time they take it, hopefully they will do as best as they can or have the highest grade because they've been successful. So limiting to one response is going to be your choice, on or off. If you do not limit it to one response, I recommend you collect the email address so that you know who actually submitted the quiz. Or what you could do is you could just add something where, ask the student's name and they can put the information in there. But again, in the general tab, you have to restrict it to one rule rate. That's going to be easy. Your choice to limit to one response, one-shot deal, or they can do it multiple times. For now, I'm going to click limit to one response. The presentation tab, okay, often look over, but really, if we're going to make these long assessments, we should be able to show the progress bar. Let the student know how far they are along. Are they have question 5 of 25? Are they 60% done? They'll see a little bar on the bottom to let them know how they're doing. And on top of that, if we're really considering making an authentic assessment, we want to make sure it's kind of tough to repeat over and over again. Well, Google's going to do the work for you. It's going to shuffle the question order. If you have 25 questions in the classroom, you hand out that piece of paper and you hope that the kid doesn't look over to their side. Or maybe what you do is you print out 2 or 3 different copies, the same questions, possibly in a different order. Google shuffles it automatically. So what's going to happen is that every kid is going to see a different quiz. Those questions are going to be in a different order. Nice way to kind of make some validity with the assessment. So I'm going to click on Shuffle Question Order. Now, lastly, it's this third tab. Now, those of you who are early forms users, they didn't have quizzes. So this tab wasn't available to you. Now that it's a part of the system, which is why you can add the assignment to the classroom, we have a quizzes tab. Now, obviously, if you have an older form and you want to make it a quiz, all you have to do is go to the quizzes tab and click on that button, make it a quiz, where we get assigned point values to questions and allow auto grading. Because we went to the classroom, added a quiz assignment, that's automatically checked. Now, this is a cool thing, locked mode on Chromebooks. Can't really do it now with the distance learning thing, but if you want to have some fun with students, fun, I means for the teacher, not for the students, you could actually lock district Chromebooks so that when they open your quiz, they can't go to a different tab. It's a pretty powerful thing. But again, as it says, it has to be a managed Chromebook, which means it has to be one that was handed out by the school district. But you can turn on lock mode. Where I'm getting to in the quizzes, though, is these last two sections, release grade and respondents can see. So when we release the grade, students have taken the quiz. Do they get it back immediately? They hit submit, it's done. Or do you want to wait a little bit? You want to manually review questions, and then what happens is you're going to push a button and it's going to send out to kids' emails. Now, when it's immediately after each submission, I would suggest that this is just for your standard multiple choice and short answer. If you're doing an assessment where there's going to be a little bit of writing and you want to grade after the fact, leave it to manual review. Another benefit of manual review is for the fact of it's all over, everyone's done, now you return it. Okay, so when I gave that first example, maybe a kid trying over and over and over again, that's something that maybe immediately after each submission, how'd I do? Oh, wow. Well, from this feedback, I got to read a little bit more and I'll take it again in like a day or two. But with the manual review aspect, gives you a little bit more power for you to kind of see what's going on there. You could then hand grade some of the short answer or long answer responses if you want to. And then finally, all you have to do is push a button and every kid is going to get emailed at the same time. They're going to see what their score was. That's going to be released. They're also going to see the correct and wrong answers and some feedback if you add those features. And speaking of which, that's what this last section is. Respondents can see. They can see the questions that they missed. They can see the correct answers, and they can see the point values. You have that power of allowing everything to be seen or nothing to be seen. Before we even got started here, before we made a single question here, go to the settings and set everything up. The general settings, the presentation settings, and the quiz settings. Now, when it comes to creating a quiz, it's a very simple thing, all right? So now I'm going to give it a title. I'm just going to call this practice quiz. And when I have a title, I could also give a sub title or some information describing what's going on here. This is a practice quiz. Just like you would sit there, you'd have a title test, and maybe you have your directions there. Every time I want to add a question, I'm going to use this little widget over here on the right-hand side. I could add a question. I could import questions. So again, those of you who are using forms, you click on that button, you could actually go to a prior form and pull in those questions automatically. For those of you who might have been using quizzes, you could actually go into your prior quizzes and pull in questions, which moving forward, this is going to make it a very, very powerful tool. You can add a title and description. So just like I have here with practice quiz and a little explanation on there, a title and a description could be for another section, or maybe it's you're going to have an image. So you just want to have a good title here, DBQ1 and a little bit of a blurb writing there and then insert an image. Speaking about images, you can add an image. You can add an image almost anywhere, and you're going to see that a little bit here in this first video, but in the second video, when I do my sample quiz, you'll see how I can add images whenever I want to, wherever I want to. You can add a video. Now, I'm just going to click on that for a second here. Notice what pulls up. It pulls up YouTube. So I can search any YouTube video, and instead of me putting the video on the classroom and having a separate file, I could have the video within a Google form quiz, and then underneath it, have some multiple choice questions, have some short answer to gauge what they've understood from the video, some instant feedback. They submit, I could give them the grade, or they submit and I could see what they're working on, their strengths and weaknesses, and I could give them back some individual feedback or some group feedback. And lastly here is add a section. Why adding a section is important, I'm just going to put one there for the heck of it. See, it says section 1, section 2, is it breaks things down. Many of us have broken down our assessments to like matching, multiple choice, short answer. In doing so, it creates a nice natural flow. Do not create anything where the kid is infinitely scrolling like their social media feed, trying to get down to the bottom to then hit send. Break it down, either groups of 5, different topics, different types of questions. Do it that way. It's going to be a lot easier for you. And that is the last option here is called add a section. I can sit there as well. If I click on my snowman here, notice I could duplicate the section. I could move the section. So I want to reorder it because I don't like it, or, I did something here. I want to shift it. You can move the section. We could delete, or you can just merge it. It's a very, very powerful thing, but why we add sections is to kind of break down the assessment to have less monotony there. Right now, I'm just going to delete that section, and I'm just going to start with our first question. The question. All right. Several options here. Short answer. You will see in the video 2, where short answer, you could actually have multiple answers. So fill in the blank is actually a pretty powerful thing. Paragraph is more for long responses. That's something that you would consider, and then have it that you release the response later so you can see what the kids wrote and just give it a simple grade. Multiple choice, kind of obvious. Check boxes. Select more than one. That's what a checkbox does. A drop-down box, same thing, nice and easy and clean. And even a file upload. A file upload, someone brought it up in one of our discussions. Well, if the student answers a math question and they're asked to show their work, they can sit there and take a picture of their work, upload it as a file, and there it is, and the teacher can see it. So I'm not going to worry about these bottom items here. You can go play with that. You're actually going to see in the second video a multiple choice grid, which is kind of cool. But at least for now, these are your basic options. So I'm just going to click a basic multiple choice and say, what is 2 plus 2? And I could kind of fill it out in here. And I could say 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, as I'm typing, if you notice here on the right-hand side, there's that image box. Even up here in the question, there's an image box. I can add an image wherever I want to. So if it's a screenshot that you're taking of a formula, if it's a map, if it's a graphic, if it's a political cartoon, you can add it wherever you want to. That's what makes it powerful. Imagine this. I could have, instead of 2, 3, 4, 5, the physical image of a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. And then the kid, possibly younger because, a little bit visual, is going to be better when it comes to taking these assessments. When I click that image, I could upload, take a shot with my camera. I could even do a Google image search. So if I were to just type in the number 4, and you know what? Sure, the green one. Why not? Insert. And there's a number 4. If I think it's too big, I could actually shrink it down. Nice and normal. All right. And even if I wanted to, I could go click and I could left, center, right, justify, or just remove it. It's a pretty powerful thing with images because, we're used to photocopies or black and white. Now you're on a computer. Now you have the kids being able to look at color and depth and really see how things work. So by all means, play with it a little bit, maybe look at a bar graph or charts, something that's going to be a little more creative, that's going to get the students' attention, so they can have a better experience. So as I'm going down here, I'm going to get to answer key in a little bit. Right there, I can duplicate. If I'm making a multiple choice question after multiple choice question, copy, nice and easy. If I don't like it, delete. Okay. The key thing here is checking this one off, required. What required means is that the student must fill it out. Obviously, if this is an assessment, you want the student to fill it out at all times. You don't want them to leave anything blank. Unless you want to be that person, and that's fine, but make sure that required switch is turned over. And lastly, if we hit this little snowman here, we can add a little bit. So for students that are viewing impaired, viewing issues, you got a little description about what they're seeing there, which is great. You could also, look at here, shuffle the option order. So if you remember in our settings tab, we could shuffle the questions. And now within a single question, we could shuffle the options. Well, talking about making a stronger and more valid test now is 25 questions, 4 answers apiece, 25 questions randomized in 25 different positions. And then on top of that, the 4 answers in 4 different positions. That's going to make a very strong test. It's very hard to have the same one within 2 students. So definitely something to think about there, adding the extra shuffle option order in our little snowman. So I just made my question here. Let's just say I finished my quiz. Well, now what I want to do is I want to now physically make it a quiz. And that's right down here in the answer key. When I click on answer key, It's going to ask me, how many points do you want this question to be? Just say 5. And then down here it says add answer feedback. This is the most important thing. As teachers, we could generally review an assessment with our students the next day in class. We could pull a couple of kids aside and talk to them saying, hey, you guys had this common issue, common problem. Let's talk about this. Or the 1 or 2 items that you want to repeat in the next 2 or 3 days of lessons to make sure the kids get it. In this instance, when we add answer feedback, you're going to make sure the student has an opportunity to have some basic feedback. So for any incorrect answer, I could have a feedback. So when 2 numbers are the same and added together, larger, even number. I could type in whatever I want to. If the kid gets a correct answer, I could say, great job. But then on top of that, look at what's down here. A link and that little play button, a video. I could actually attach a link to an article, a website, an image, anything. Or a video that's going to say, if you got this answer wrong, hey, here's a video that you could watch in order to obtain a little bit of extra help so you really understand what's going on here. Hey, here's a link to an image, a chart of photosynthesis because you got this question wrong, and why don't you look at this photosynthesis chart? Correct answers, I can write whatever I want to, but the important thing is getting the feedback. So I'm going to do a, I'm not going to do a link, excuse me. I'm just going to do a, let's just type in the word math and 4, just because. And sure, comparing fractions. I know this question has nothing to do with fractions, but all I'm saying here is that I could have this. And I hit save. It's right there. So see what that is? The students are going to see this until they're done submitting the quiz. But if you take the time to put in the feedback to every single one of your questions, or the ones that you feel are necessary and needing of feedback, what you can do is then make it stronger for when the kids actually receive what they got on the assessment. Oh, lastly, and I can't believe I forgot this, I didn't select the correct answer. There we go. Correct answer is 4. Check this out. I can actually have multiple correct answers if I wanted to. That's how powerful these quizzes are. But we know obviously the answer is 4. So I hit done, and there's my question ready to go. At the end of the day, when you post this quiz for the students, because it's going to go right back here, there's your quiz and you're going to sign it. When the students are done, you're going to have an opportunity to review it. And that's going to be in the responses tab. And we're about done with our video here. You're going to see this filled out in the second one. But in our responses tab, the first thing that you want to do when that quiz is over is come down here, and when it says accepting responses, just turn it off. Though the assignment is done, the students were supposed to turn it in, technically this quiz is always going to be live. So what you would do then is go in here, stop accepting responses, and even if the kid had the link to the quiz outside the classroom, they're going to get that response, sorry, the due date has passed. This is 0 responses. I'm going to talk about responses in the second video, but I hope that we realize that these are the easy ways to just set up a quiz. All right.